a blind spot monitor, and a dash cam all in one package.
This video is sponsored by Cruiseman's Garage Honda Goldwing Maintenance Video Series.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Cruiseman's Reviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing the INNOVV RC6 combination dash cam and blind spot monitor. Now, some of you may have seen the review that Robert White did of the INNOVV Third Eye blind spot monitor, and the blind spot monitor portion of this product is essentially the same as the Third Eye. It works the same way. However, what they've done is they've combined that sensor that goes in the back with a rear-facing camera, and they also have a front-facing camera. And I recently did a video where I showed how I installed this on this 2024 Honda Goldwing. Today's video is really to talk about how does this system work, how well does it work, what are the things I like about it, what are the things I'd like to see changed. I'm going to go for a ride. I'm going to show you, I've already gone for the ride, but I'm going to go back in time and I'm going to show you the experiences that I've had with both the dash cam and the blind spot monitor. So let's take a look. Before we get to the ride section, let me show you the various parts and pieces that make up the INNOVV RC6. Let's start at the front of the bike. You can see here is the front-facing camera, and I have mounted this on the right side underneath the headlight. Now I'm pushed it as far to the right as I could because I don't want the front fender to hit it. If I hit a bump, if I mounted it in the middle, it would crack the fender, possibly damage the camera. So it's a good idea to mount this off to one side. There are screws on each side of this mount, so I can move the camera up and down, or I can rotate the camera if I need to adjust for the horizon. Now in the back of the bike, this is the radar unit along with the rear-facing camera. I have it mounted on one of the TRAXXION little trays that goes, the little accessory tray goes above your license plate light. This radar unit is what senses traffic coming up behind you. And these little lights that I've mounted on the rear view mirror posts here are what will illuminate if it detects any traffic coming up from behind you on either the left or the right side. On most motorcycles other than a Goldwing, you would probably mount these to the rear view mirror itself, but we have kind of a unique situation on a Honda Goldwing. Here is the one that's on the right side. So if it detects a car coming up on your right rear, this light will light up. Normally you would mount these with the self-adhesive pads that INNOVV provides, but like I said, a Honda Goldwing is a little unique because of the way the rear view mirrors have to be removed to do certain maintenance tasks. So I borrowed Robert White's method of using these small magnets. Basically, they just stick on very easily. They're strong enough to hold these lights in place. And that way, if you ever have to remove your rear view mirror, you don't have to disconnect the light from the unit under the seat. You can just kind of let it hang if you ever need to remove the rear view mirror. The brains of the unit I mounted underneath the seat on the left side next to the gas tank, right in between the frame and the gas tank. Today I'm testing out two things on this ride: the butt buffer seat pad and this new INNOVV RC6 blind spot monitor and combination dash cam. So we're going to give them all a test today and see how they work. My first time riding with the RC6 installed was early in the morning before the sun came up, and you can see the image is not too bad. Of course, we have a lot of headlights here, to light up the road, but I would say the image quality is okay. This is what they call Ultra HD. It's not 4K video, but it is 1440p. So I would say the image quality is pretty good. We'll be able to tell more a little later. Now you'll notice my horizon is not level, and that's because I had not yet adjusted the rotation of the front camera. Let's take a look at the back camera. Well, here you notice quite a bit of degradation in video quality in the dark. This rear-facing camera, the video is pretty grainy. I will say that rear camera video for most of the dash cams I've tested and reviewed, this is a common issue. We're talking 1080p video as opposed to 1440 on the front cam. And the sensor is so small, it just cannot capture that much light per pixel. So it's just an issue that exists with most of these cameras. Now, what the problem is, it makes it a little more difficult to read a license plate if somebody's coming up behind you aggressively. Now, this is mostly a problem after dark. And as with most video cameras, they're going to perform better in daylight situations than they are in the dark. That's true of just about any video camera, and it's very true of cameras with small sensors. In this image, you'll notice I'm getting a lot of halos around the headlights. That makes it even harder to read a license plate. So there's no way in this video that I captured of this pickup truck following me at that distance that I would be able to read that license plate of a vehicle coming up behind me. I'll zoom in on it and show you. So after I zoom in, I'm going to freeze this frame so you'll see. I don't know of any way you'd be able to read that license plate. And again, this is an issue with this camera after dark. It's not going to be able to give you the ability to read a license plate unless it was maybe right on your at a stoplight, it comes up right behind you. You're now getting the truck into a position where you could almost make out the letters and numbers on the license plate. And he was actually pretty close to me at this point. Now let's see how the front-facing camera performs when there's plenty of light. Here we're in a Sunday morning. There's good light. There's no clouds in the sky. We've got about as perfect a conditions as you could hope for. As I'm pulling up behind this SUV, I wanted to freeze the frame right here and see if we can zoom in and read that license plate from this distance. I'm probably 4 or 5 bike lengths away from this SUV. And by putting this into my computer program and zooming in on it, you can actually read the license plate from the front-facing camera from this distance. So I think that's a pretty good test. Now, this is a pretty simple test for a video camera because we have no motion. We're not moving, so the camera's steady. When you add motion and vibration from the road and movement, the front wheel, bouncing up and down and everything else, that's going to be a whole different situation. But still, I'd say the video quality is pretty clear. Image stabilization is another consideration when purchasing a dash cam. I think the image stabilization on this front-facing camera is just okay. A Goldwing is a pretty smooth motorcycle compared to a lot of motorcycles, so I would think this is a best-case scenario for a dash cam. Image stabilization will also affect your ability to read a license plate if the motorcycle is in motion, you're in traffic, and you're trying to read a license plate. Let's look at this pickup truck. Once again, I froze the frame of the video so we can zoom in and see if we can read this license plate as he passes me. I consider that to be a pretty good job. I think I can read that license plate. He's in motion, I'm in motion, and he's even off to my right-hand side. So for this test, I'd say good job, INNOVV. And once again, the rear-facing camera comes up a little short. Now, to be fair, the sun is facing right into the lens. That doesn't help. But there's no way at any point that I could stop this video and zoom in and be able to read the license plates of these cars. Stabilization on the rear camera, however, is pretty good. I think the image is pretty stable. Don't have an issue with that. Colors are kind of muted, but we're not looking for great quality video here. We're looking for a safety. In case you're in an accident, you want to be able to see what happened. Now in this clip, I have some cars coming up behind me. Unfortunately, none of them have front license plates, which we're supposed to have here in Texas, but you can see what type of vehicle it is. You can detect the color of the vehicle. So if there was an accident or a situation where you needed to find them. Now the car coming up on my left, I'm going to freeze it right here. You can, if you zoom in, you can sort of make out the license plate. And of course, if the car was directly behind me, it would be easier to read that license plate. So I'm going to say the rear-facing camera on this INNOVV unit is just okay. Now, some of you have probably seen the review that Robert White did of the INNOVV blind spot monitoring, the third eye blind spot monitor, and there you can see the light just went off because that car came up behind me on the right hand side. So it is picking up cars coming up on my right hand side. There's another one, you can see it going off again. Maybe you can see it, not sure. Get up here where you can see that. So each time one of these cars comes up into my blind spot from the rear, it's setting off that light, which is pretty cool. As I was mentioning, Robert reviewed the INNOVV third eye system, which I'm sure is the exact same sensor and tech that this model has. I'm sure it works the same way. And his only critique was that if I pass a vehicle and that vehicle ends up in my blind spot, it does not. See, there's the light going off again. So as soon as that car comes up on my right or left hand side in the blind spot, the light goes off. Very cool. So his critique was if I pass a vehicle and then that vehicle ends up in my blind spot, the light does not light up to show me that the vehicle is there. And I think that's a fair analysis. You'll notice in the upper right hand corner as cars pass me, the blind spot monitor light does go off as they're coming by. I put the gold circle up there to show you each time a car comes up behind me to pass me, that light goes off. Okay, I've got a car. I'm slowing down so this car will come up on my left-hand side. Yeah, I see the light going off. These are very bright LEDs. They're red LEDs and they're extremely bright. Now, I haven't obviously checked out the dash cam yet. I'll be anxious to check the video of the dash cam when we get back. I'll probably pull over up here somewhere and pull out the app and see if it is actually capturing video. But the blind spot monitor, I would say, is definitely a success. It's working quite well. Okay, so now's the time for me to give you my review and my impressions of this INNOVV RC6 combination camera and dash cam. Let me first say thank you, INNOVV, for sending this to me to test and review, and thank you to Max at TRAXXION for kind of arranging all of this and shipping it to me and making sure I had it. I believe TRAXXION is going to be selling the system, so I'll put links in the description of this video if you're interested in this for your motorcycle. You can check it out at TRAXXION, or there's some other links down there depending on how you want to support and who you want to purchase from. How does this system work? What do I think of it? First of all, installation I thought was pretty straightforward, pretty easy. I like the fact that it has a pretty small footprint underneath the seat. The main unit itself slipped right between my frame and my gas tank. It didn't take up a lot of space. Installing, it's a little cumbersome on a Honda Goldwing because in my case, I took the side covers off. You might be able to fish those cables through here without doing that. You probably could. I just chose to remove the middle cowls and the rear view mirrors. It made it easier for me, and I can take these off in about 10 minutes. I think the quality of the construction is very, very nice. The cameras, the blind spot monitor radar unit, all the cabling, all of the main unit itself, Everything feels like it's very high quality. So that, as far as from an installation standpoint, I'm pretty happy with that. I think, you know, I went through some pitfalls because I was concerned about mounting the front camera. Turns out they give you all the mounting hardware you need for just about any kind of motorcycle or ATV. Whatever you're riding, I think you're going to be able to figure out a way to mount it with all of the stuff they give you. They give you a lot of installation hardware. I don't know why they don't include that GoPro strap in the kit, because I don't know how the hell you'd get it if you didn't get it in the kit. I don't know how you'd order that separately. You know, they give you so much stuff in the kit anyway. I don't know why they didn't go and include that but nevertheless, they didn't. So maybe they will in the future. Maybe they'll see this video, and I would highly recommend INNOVV, because everybody's got these little GoPro buckle mounts. You know, it's an obvious thing. That's the most obvious way to mount it, because that was my first thought. No problem. I did get it mounted. I'm happy with the installation part. Okay, what about performance? First of all, I'm going to say that as a blind spot monitor, it's a better blind spot monitor than it is a dash cam. The camera system is okay. I'd say mid-range of the other ones I've tested. It is not very robust as far as the app. It does not track much information because this system does not have a GPS built in. So it's not giving you the longitude, latitude of where you are when you're watching the video. You would have to know that. The Vantrue system, by comparison, does. It has a GPS built in. So it's always putting the longitude, latitude on your video. That's not a deal killer, but I want to emphasize that this dash cam system is good enough to do what you really are wanting a dash cam to do. It's not for motovlogging. You're not going to use this video to motovlog with. That's not really the intent. It's something so that if someone backed into you or if somebody pulled out in front of you, you would have video evidence. You'd need to be able to identify the vehicle, hopefully be able to identify the license plate. If somebody came up behind you and there was some sort of an incursion, you would have video evidence to give your insurance company or the police or whoever. And this system is definitely capable to do that. And so I want to emphasize that. Is it the best motorcycle dash cam system that I've tested? No. The video quality is not as good as some others I've seen, but it's better than some others I've seen. And you're getting 1440 in the front camera and 1080p in the back. I've tested some where you actually get 4K in the front and 1080p in the back. So, but you know, you're splitting hairs at that point. Like I say, you're not buying a system like this to use for motovlogging. You're buying it for safety. And so from that perspective, I think it's a good system. The fact that you don't have to install a separate dash cam and a separate blind spot monitor. Now you've got two things taking up real estate underneath your seat on your motorcycle. My biggest concern with this INNOVV RC6 was the app itself and being able to connect to the main unit's Wi-Fi. I had a difficult time finding the Wi-Fi server. It has its own built-in Wi-Fi server. I found that to be a little bit clunky. I don't think the app is as refined as some others I've seen, but those are things that INNOVV can correct. They can update. It's okay, but it could be better. When you connect to Wi-Fi, I had to turn the bike on and off a couple of times to get it to show up, to get the Wi-Fi signal to show up. My opinion is any dash cam system is better than none because you have visual evidence in case something happens. I wish I had had a system like this installed a couple of years ago on my 2018 Goldwing when that semi backed into me, because I would have had video evidence. I could have given the insurance company. It would have strengthened any kind of case that I was going to try to make for a court case if it came to that, which it didn't, but it could have. And you know, with insurance, police, whatever, it's good to have these things. That's my opinion of the INNOVV RC6. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please put your questions in the comments down below. I'll do my best to answer anything you want to know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. That really does help my YouTube channel. And I'll see you on the next Cruiseman's Reviews.